Now, a U.S. economist from Jeffries came out this week and said that the U.S. consumer, went nuts in the third quarter and is spending money on vacations, entertainment, and recreation experiences like never before. And my question is, how are they doing it? Is this going on to credit cards? And are those credit cards being paid off in a timely manner? And a lot of data shows it isn't. But this economy is spend, and buy. And it'll continue working until it doesn't. Now, that data from Jeffries coincides with Southwest Airlines CEO saying that booking demand for the holidays is up strong. And he quoted that holiday bookings are way ahead of where they were at the same time in 2022. So perhaps the American economy is rebounding. And this economy, according to the Fed, is going to continue being robust. Now, that's different than my opinion from what I'm actually seeing physically, but that's going to mean more pressure on the Fed to continue considering rate hikes. And interest rates are not going to go down. Right now, they've just plateaued. But I have a feeling that if this stock market takes off, inflation is going to take off with it. Now, we've seen oil plummet in the last week, and that's good news, as more consumers will be saving more money when they visit the pumps. But we're going into the winter season when that's usually when you see oil drop. And my concern is at the end of winter and beginning of spring, if oil is still around at the $80 to $85 a barrel price point where it is now, there's a great possibility that we're going to see oil well over $100 next year. And that's going to pull inflation up and force the Fed's hand to hike interest rates. Now, the Fed held tight on Wednesday on hiking interest rates, but in my opinion, they should actually increase interest rates. Now, this is actually the medicine that America needs. Now, it hasn't worked because Wall Street and the banks are in the way of allowing home prices to drop. But I believe it's going to haunt this country, and it's going to come back and bite the Fed come next year when commodities take off. And we're going to see hyperinflation, and the Fed is going to be back behind the ball again. They're going to be trying to play catch up as inflation soars, and they try to tamper it down with interest rates, but it won't work because they'll be too far behind the curve. And there'll be even more pressure for the Fed not to hike rates next year as it's in the election year. Now, Apple had their earnings this week, and sales declined for the fourth consecutive quarter, and that's the first time that's happened since 2001. And I believe it's just going to be impossible for the consumer to keep up with buying these new gadgets. And these gadgets aren't cheap. An iPhone now is over $1,000, and perhaps Americans are now coming to their senses that they don't need a new gadget every year, every 2 years, and especially if that gadget is doing the same tricks that the one they have now is. Now, heavy truck sales declined in October, but for this October, they're up year over year, 6%. And as I've said, you turn to trucking and the railroads to really get a gauge on where this economy is and where it's headed. So in many metrics, from the port traffic to the railroad volume, to the trucking volume, to trucking sales, we're actually seeing an increase year over year. So a bit of mixed signals, but the economy continues to churn on. Now, construction spending actually increased by 0.4% in September, and that's both private and public spending. So we're seeing green arrows and many arrows point up in many metrics over the past couple of months, and that's good news. Perhaps I'm wrong about the U.S. economy crumbling, and I like to be proven wrong. Now, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.